So in the last video we have seen what's a rank of an element, and we were looking at an algorithm for finding the rank. In other words, we are given an R, we want to find an element whose rank is R. In particular, if there is a linear time algorithm for solving this problem, so we know that a median will have the rank n by 2. So if you ask for an element whose rank is n by 2, what we should get is the median. So in this video, we will see a randomized Las Vegas kind of algorithm, which will on average the algorithm will find the rank in linear time. Okay, so the worst case complexity of the algorithm is still going to be order n square, but the algorithm that we are going to discuss will, given an R, will find an element whose rank is R in linear time on average. So in the previous video, as we have discussed, given a sequence of integers, rank of a number is defined as 1 plus the number of numbers which are greater than x. Then we have seen given x, it's always easy to find the rank of x. But if you are given a R, if you want to find an element whose rank is R, then we have to write a find rank function. That's precisely what we are going to do in this class. We will first look at a randomized algorithm. So as done in the case of a quicksort, so what we will do is that we will pick a random pivot, partition the array with respect to this pivot, and then ask the question, so what is the rank of the pivot? Okay, let's look at what is the rank of the pivot. So what does the partition function do? So partition function returns a value of k which is between L and R. Okay, so the partition function with which is called with parameters L and R, it will return a k such that all the numbers on the right hand side are greater than a of k, and all the numbers on the left hand side are smaller than or equal to k. Okay, so so now we want to know what is the rank of k. So all the numbers from k plus 1 to r are all greater than k. So the number of numbers which are greater than a of k is r minus k plus 1, that is the index, plus 1, this is the number of numbers between k plus 1 and r, right. So the number of numbers between k plus 1 and r are r minus k plus 1 plus 1, and the rank is defined as the number of numbers which are greater than a of k plus 1. So the rank of a of k will be exactly equal to r minus k plus 1. So we first pick a random pivot, partition with respect to that particular pivot, you get a k, then check the rank of this pivot is r minus k plus 1, and this is the rank that we actually are looking for, then we return k. Otherwise, if the rank that we are looking for is smaller than this rank of this pivot, then we know that the number that we are looking at is on the right hand side. If you want a number whose rank is smaller than this, then that number has to be a bigger number, so it has to be on the right hand side. So we will go and search in the right hand side. Otherwise, if the rank is greater than the rank of the pivot, such a number has to be on the left hand side. We go and search in the left hand side. Notice that after we did the partition, we went and sorted both sides in the case of randomized quicksort, but in the case of find rank, we either go to the left or right depending on whether the rank that we are looking for is smaller than the rank of the pivot or greater than the pivot. The code will look something like that. So we are trying to find the given an array. So we are trying to find between L and R, that's the range. We want to find an element whose rank is R. So L has to be smaller than R. If L is equal to R, then the rank has to be 1. So in that case, we'll return R itself. Otherwise, what we're going to do is that we're going to pick a random pivot. So we're going to pick a location from between L and R, which we call it as P. Then we stamp the first two elements. Then we call the partition function. So partition function returns a value of k, so that all the numbers to the right of k are all bigger than the pivot, and all the numbers which are smaller than the pivot are to the left of k. Now we have seen that a of k will have the rank exactly equal to r minus k plus 1. If the rank that we are looking for is exactly equal to the rank of the pivot, which is r minus k plus 1, then we will end up returning k. See, if the rank that we are looking for is smaller than the rank of the pivot, which is r minus k plus 1, then we go to the right hand side, because I am looking for a number whose rank is smaller. So all such numbers whose ranks are smaller than the pivot are all on the right hand side. So from k plus 1 to r, I find an element whose rank is r. So if this is not the case, then the rank is greater than r minus k plus 1, which is the rank of the pivot. In that case, I go to the left hand side. When I go to the left hand side, the indices will be from L to k minus 1, but I don't find a rank, but I have to find a rank which is something else. When I go to the right, I still go and find the rank, but when I go to the left, I find the rank will not be the same, but it will be different. So what you need to note is that when you go to the right hand side, we are ignoring the numbers which are smaller than the pivot. When we ignore the numbers which are smaller than the pivot, they don't affect the ranks. But when you go to the left hand side, we are ignoring the numbers which are bigger than the pivot. So all of them will contribute to the rank of a number on the left hand side. So after you do the partition, if you take any element on the right hand side, the rank of that is independent of all the numbers that are there in the left hand side. Because the numbers on the left hand side are all smaller than the pivot, hence numbers on the left hand side are all smaller than the numbers on the right hand side. So the rank of a number on the right hand side don't depend on the number of elements on the left side of the pivot. So we still go and find the same rank. But on the other way around, when you go to the left hand side, you are ignoring all the numbers on the right hand side. But if you pick any number on the left hand side, all the numbers on the right hand side will be bigger than that. So all of them will contribute to the rank. So we have to consider, when you go to the left, I am going from L to k minus 1. So we are ignoring all the numbers between k and r. So we have to account for all the numbers between k and r. So the number of numbers which are between k and r is actually r minus k plus 1. So when I go to the left hand side, I need to find a rank which is r rank minus r plus k minus 1, because when I look at the smaller side on the left hand side, when I have to consider if the rank is r minus k plus rank minus r plus k minus 1, then when I consider the bigger side from L to r, I have to add so many numbers which will contribute to the rank. So when I add this number to the rank, so this number, so what I actually get is r. So I have to subtract the number of numbers on the right hand side which are all bigger than the numbers on the left hand side. The number of such numbers is precisely r minus k plus 1. So I have to find a rank which is rank minus r plus k minus 1. Okay. So the summary is that in the case of randomized quicksort, we went to, after we did the partition, we went to the left hand side as well as to the right hand side. But in this case, if the rank of the pivot is exactly equal to what we are looking for, then I return the pivot, that is the index k. Otherwise, if the rank is bigger, then I go to the left hand side. If the rank is small, the rank that I am looking for is smaller than the rank of the pivot, I go to the right hand side and recursively find the solution. So we get in general a solution, a recursion of this kind. If T of n is the number of comparisons done by the find rank algorithm, then T of n will be n for doing the partition. After that, if the partition actually happens at k, then there will be k minus 1 elements on the left hand side and n minus k elements on the right hand side. So what we have to basically look at is that we have to take the maximum, because I don't know, I might go to the left hand side or I might go to the right hand side. So in worst case, what may happen is that I may have to take the maximum. So T of n will be written as n plus maximum of T of k and T of n minus k, where k is going from 0 to n minus 1. So now in worst case, what may happen is that the partition could be very bad. So I may have to go to the right hand side, and the right hand side could have all the n minus 1 numbers. Okay. So the worst case is same as the worst case for the randomized quicksort, where the partition is very bad and we are left with 1 minus 1 elements on the other side, and we have to recursively find the solution with the n minus 1 space. So in worst case, what really happens is that so this algorithm is theta of n square. But what we are going to see is that on average this is going to be a linear time in a linear time algorithm. Before we get into the formal proof why this randomized find rank is linear, we'll try to develop some intuitions to convince ourselves that this is in fact is linear time. So let's consider a case where what if the partition divides the set of elements into two equal groups. If I divide it into two equal groups, then either I go to the left or go to the right. In either case, I will be left with the n by 2 number of elements. Okay. If the pivot is such a very good pivot such that it partition into two equal halves every time, then I get the equation for this as T of n is equal to n plus T of n by 2. So T of n by 2 can again be further divided n by 2 plus T of n by 4 on so on. So you get the sequence as n plus n by 2 plus n by 4 on so on. So we know that this actually is smaller than 2n. So this clearly indicates that T of n, if it divides exactly into two halves, then it's smaller than 2n. In other words, this algorithm is linear. But we don't know how to pick a pivot which divides exactly into two halves. Okay? So we will relax the condition. If we can find a pivot which divides exactly into two halves, it's very good. But we don't know how to find such a pivot. So we will relax the condition and work with what is known as a good pivot. Let me define. A pivot is said to be a good pivot if the rank of that is between n by 2 and 3n by 4. So in the partition, that means if the partition has to happen exactly into two halves, then what we need is a median. So that is difficult to find. So what we will work with is a good pivot. So what's a good pivot? The rank of that number is between n by 4 and 3n by 4. Okay, so the rank should be slightly greater than n by 4, but it should be smaller than 3n by 4. The rank of this pivot should not be too much. Okay, if it is very close to n, then if I am only going to discard very few numbers. If it is very small, if the rank is also very small, then it's going to be very bad for me. So you can think of it as if the pivot is a maximum number, then the rank of that is 1. If the rank is if it is the smallest number, then the rank is n. So we don't want such cases. That is such a pivots will not divide will not partition into two equal halves. So what we need is that we don't want the rank to be too high. We don't want the rank to be too small. We want this to be very close to half. One way to say that it's very close to half is saying that it's between n by 4 and 3n by 4. We'll define a pivot to be a good pivot if the rank of that pivot is n by 4 and 3n by 4. Now if I pick a pivot uniformly at random, what is the probability that it's a good pivot? So notice that there will be n by 4 numbers whose rank is smaller than n by 4, and there will be exactly n by 4 numbers whose rank is greater than 3n by 4. So there will be exactly n by 4 numbers with n by 2 numbers which are not good pivots. Rest all are going to be good pivot. I repeat, there will be n by 4 numbers whose rank is smaller than n by 4. There will be n by 4 numbers whose ranks are greater than 3n by 4. So if the rank is smaller than n by 4 or greater than 3n by 4, it's not a good pivot for me. So anything which is between n by 4 and 3n by 4 is a good pivot. So if you pick a random pivot, so the total number of good pivots is n by 2. Total number of bad pivots is also n by 2. So if half of them are good pivots and half of them are not good pivots, so if I pick a random pivot, then with probability of, then so the probability of it will be a good pivot. So what it means is that on average, every time it's too difficult for me to expect that I'll pick a good pivot, but on average, every alternative iterations, I should be able to pick a good pivot. So, right, so on average, if the probability of an event is off, then on average expected number of iterations in which I get a good pivot is 2. So on average on every alternative iterations, I should be able to pick a good pivot. So what really happens if I pick a good pivot? So if I pick a good pivot, the rank, so when I do the partition, so the partition is going to happen somewhere here because this is the rank. So this is the partition is going to be, if the number of elements is total is n, then the partition is going to happen in such a way that this will be between 3n by 4 and n by 4. So the advantage of picking a good pivot is that if I partition at this location, this is where the good pivot, the rank of that is between n by 4 and 3n by 4. If I go to the, so recursively if I have to go to the left hand side, then I am going to ignore all the numbers on the right hand side. So in that case I am going to ignore at least n by 4 numbers. If I have to go to the right hand side and I am going to ignore all the numbers on the left hand side, I am going to ignore all these numbers. The number of numbers that I am going to ignore is slightly greater than n by 4. So what we are saying is that if I happen to pick a good pivot, in that iteration, after I do the partition, irrespective of whether I go to the left hand side or right hand side, I am guaranteed to ignore n by 4 numbers. So I will be left with at most 3n by 4 numbers for the next iterations. So the equation that I am going to get is t of n is smaller than or equal to, so 2 of n, because I am not looking at every iteration, I am looking at 2 alternative iterations. Right, every 2 consecutive iterations I am clubbing and trying to analyze how many elements are left after these 2 iterations. Since I am talking about 2 iterations, if I pick 2 pivots uniformly at random, the expectation is that one of them will be a good pivot. So I will end up doing 2 partitions, partition 2 times, so that is 2 into n. But if I end up picking a good pivot, I know that I will for sure discard n by 4 numbers. So I will be basically left with 3n by 4 numbers. So the recursion that I am going to get is t of n is smaller than 2 into n plus t of n by 4. If I expand this, what I am going to get is 2 into n plus 1 plus 3 by 4 plus 9 by 16 and so on, which is a geometric sequence which will converge to 4. So I will get that t of n is smaller than 8n. So this should give an intuition that on average the number of comparisons done by this algorithm is at most 8n. So let's try to recap the find rank function. So what we had is that we are given an array of numbers from L to R. So we pick a random pivot and partition with respect to k, so if the rank of the pivot is exactly what we are looking for, then we return this. Otherwise we recursively go to the right hand side or recursively go to the left hand side. So let's say that on the left hand side there are k number of elements, and on the right hand side there are n minus k minus 1 number of elements. So the recursion that we get, if t of n is the number of comparisons done by the algorithm, this will be exactly equal to n for partition plus, so we have to look at t of k and t of n minus k minus 1. And so if you go to the left hand side, let's say that there will be k number of elements, and if I go to the right hand side, let's say that there will be t of n minus k minus 1 number of elements. I don't know which side the algorithm actually goes. That depends on the rank that we want to actually find. So in general, this is going to be smaller than or equal to maximum of these two quantities. Okay. So if the partition actually happens leaving k elements on the left hand side and n minus k minus 1 elements on the right hand side, then we get the equation that t of n is smaller than or equal to n plus maximum of t of k comma t of n minus k minus 1. So the range for k is k can be any number between n minus 1 or 0. On the left hand side I can have 0 number of elements, or I can have the n minus 1 elements on the left hand side. So now let's try to compute the average case complexity. The average case complexity is, as we defined, is defined as the summation of so what is the probability that a randomly picked pivot will have exactly k numbers onto the left of it. So since k can take any number between 0 to n minus 1, so we know that the probability of this event happening is k. So where the range for k is equal to 0 to n minus 1. If the partition actually happens at k, then the number of comparisons done by the algorithm will be at most n plus the maximum of T of k comma T of n minus k minus 1. Now let's try to simplify this equation. So this n is a common term inside this independent of k. So I can write that this is smaller than or equal to n comes out of the summation plus the summation. So 1 by n also comes out of the summation. Summation maximum of T of k comma T of n minus k minus 1. So where k is going from 0 to n minus 1. Now let's stare at these two terms that you have inside the summation. So if k is 0, then the first term will be T of 0, second term will be T of n minus 1. If k is 1, you get T of 1, T of n by 2, and if t is 2, then you get T of n minus 3, and so on. For T of n by 2, you roughly have T of n by 2, and so the last towards the end, so we will have T of n by 2, T of 1, and T of n minus 1, and T of 0. So till n by 2, so this, when you take the maximum, the second term will be the dominating one, but after n by 2 values, the first term will be the dominating term. In any case, so when you take the maximum of T of k and T of n minus k, for k smaller than n by 2, n by k, the second term will be the dominating term, but after k becomes n by 2, the first term becomes the dominating term. So what, so this summation can be written as summation, this is smaller than or equal to n plus 2 into 1 by n, summation k is going from n by 2 to n minus 1, right, of T of k. So instead of taking the maximum of these two, so every time when you take maximum in the first n by 2 terms, so what really matters is the second half, and in the second after n by 2, the first term actually dominates. So it is the summation of T of k where k is going from n by 2 to n minus 1 2 times. So we get the equation on average T of n, which is the average complexity of this algorithm, will be smaller than or equal to n plus 2 by n summation T of k, where k is going from n by 2 to n. So we will try to solve this equation in the rest of these videos now. So we are trying to solve the equation T of n is equal to n plus 2 by n summation T of k, where k is going from n by 2 to n minus 1. So we will show that T of n is smaller than c times n for some constant c and for large values of n, right? So for every values of n after some n naught, there exists a c such that T of n is smaller than c times n. So the proof is by induction. So we will assume that T of k, as long as for every k which is smaller than n, so we will assume by induction that T of k is smaller than c times k, and we will try to show that T of n will be smaller than c times n. We will try to figure out the value for c later. So if T of k, if I plug in the value of c times k, so this equation becomes T of n will be equal to n plus 2 into c by n. So the inside the summation, so what you will have is k into c, but c is a common term which is independent of the summation. I can pull it out. So this is the sum of numbers from n by 2 to n minus 1. So this summation is smaller than or equal to n plus 2c by n. So this is the sum of numbers from n by 2 to n. So what I can do is that I can write it as summation of k, where k is going from 1 to n minus 1, sum of the first n numbers minus the sum of the numbers up to n by 2 minus 1. So we want to find the sum of numbers from k by 2 to n minus 1. So what I do is that first I find all the summation of numbers from 1 to n minus 1. After that I subtract the sum of numbers from k is equal to 1 to n by 2 minus 1. So now notice that, so we will just, the formula for this, we'll just plug in that. So this is n plus 2c by n. So the sum of numbers from n to n minus 1 will be n minus 1 divided by 2 minus n by 2 into n by 2 minus 1 divided by 2. So what we will do first do is that cancel these 2's, and we'll also cancel this n, and so instead of n minus 1 we will approximate to n, and instead of n by 2 minus 1 we will approximate to n by 2. So this equation that I want to get is that it will be n plus c times n minus, so this will be n by 4. So this entire equation turns out to be, this is n minus n by 4 will be 3n by 4. So we want this summation to be smaller than c times n, right? So we want t of n to be, we want to choose an n such that, so we want to choose a c such that t of n is smaller than n c times n. So we want to see what values of c that I should choose, so that n plus 3n into c divided by 4 is actually smaller than c times n. So we want, so let me write here, c times n should be greater than n plus 3 by 4 n into c. So what I do is that I cancel n on both sides, bring this c to the left hand side. So this is c times c minus 3 by 4 into n. So this will become 1 by 4 into c should be greater than 1. So I cancelled n on both sides and brought these c terms to the left hand side. So this will be 1 minus 3 by 4. 1 minus 3 by 4 is 1 by 4. Right? So what is left on the right hand side is only 1 after cancelling n on both sides. So this implies that as long as c is greater than 4, so as long as you can choose c is equal to 4 also. So as long as c is greater than or equal to 4, then we can show that t of n will be smaller than cm. So you can, in particular, you can choose any c which is greater than 4. In particular, you can choose c to be 4 into n. So we can show that so t of n, which is the average number of computations done by the algorithm, is smaller than 4 times n, right? So this implies that on average, so the complexity of this algorithm is theta of n. So in this video we have seen a Las Vegas algorithm which on average takes linear time to find the given element whose rank is r, given r. In the next video we are going to see a deterministic algorithm for the same problem.